Greetings, this is Joe Feccarata, and I'm here to tell you about the Lifesparc process. Here is the whole model. You see that it forms the acronym: situation, possibility, action, recovery, and counting and coaching. This short video will tell you all about these different areas and get you started on really achieving the things that you want to achieve and thought were out of your reach. Through the Spark process, we'll chop those things down into bite-sized chunks, keep you encouraged, keep you motivated, so that despite how busy you are during your regular day, and without the discipline of an Army general, you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. So let's get started. So the first part of the process is the situation. In this situation, we would write what our difficulty is. Now, I don't put problem here because sometimes these aren't problems. For example, you might have a couple of job offers and you have a situation you don't know which one to take on. You might have something where you have a difficult manager. We'll cover that in the ebook as well. You might have something where it's more of a project, like, hey, I want to finish writing my book, or I want to get that master's degree. You know, these aren't necessarily problems. So a lot of the bedrock of the Lifesparc process is going to be rooted in something called appreciative inquiry. And you can Google that term, but really what it comes down to is kind of reframing problems as opportunities. Okay, so that situation, we'll write something like, I want to write my book. Okay, possibility. What is the possibilities? Why do you want to write a book? What is the advantages of doing so? So you would say, okay, I'm going to write this book because I want to become famous. I want to become rich, or I just need to get these ideas to my audience, to my tribe. Okay, totally valid. Now we come to the center, action. Okay, so we've got, basically our situation, we've got our possibility, we're excited. Now what are we going to do in the next 2 weeks that are going to be vectors? Now I call them vectors. These are action vectors. These are vectors that are, what is a vector? So a vector is action and direction, okay? It's not enough to just take random action. You have to have a direction. So that's why I use the term vector here. So on each side of this, we have 14 vector lines. And the reason there's 14 is that, I understand more than you can imagine how difficult it is to have a family or to have a significant outside life from work, have a day job, and then trying to accomplish yet another goal on top of all those things. I mean, that's the whole target for the Lifesparc process. That's our tribe, the people who are trying to do something exciting outside of maybe the mundane life they have. They're trying to reach beyond what they have, and they're being brought back down into the muck of their everyday. We need to have this on top of that process. This is something that's going to inspire us. So there's 14 lines on each of these weeks. I'm figuring 2 a day. And this has been my experience, is that you don't have a whole lot more time. You might get 1 or 2 hours a day, maybe 3 to work on your spark that you have. Because most of the day is taken already. If we all had 40 hours a week to work on our goals, our real goals, we might not need this. It's going to be our full-time job. The idea here is, this is outside of your day-to-day. So let's put 14 lines on there. Now, if you do more than this in a week, if you get 14 action-based vectors on this one goal, I say congratulate yourself and either take a break or just turn the paper over and write more down. That's just fantastic. Now, and there's 2 weeks here. So what we want to do is we don't want to have a discouraging event come out of this. We don't want to have where we put it in a day. On Tuesday, I'm going to do this. On Wednesday, I'm going to do that. And what happens if you don't do it on Tuesday because your kid got sick, and then it moves into Wednesday, and then forget it. You throw your day planner in the garbage. Here, we're a little bit more gentle with that. We're going to put vectors. Now, you could use sticky notes. You could use pencil. You could do whatever kind of writing you want in these week boxes. The point of the matter is you got to get something down there. You're breaking down this situation and possibility. You're taking real action on these items. And then it's very simple. As you do the vector, you say, I'm going to write one chapter. You say, I started it and I checked it off. Boom, done. And then the date would go in here, week 1 and week 2. So a whole Spark event is a 2-week chunk of time that you're going to use to focus on this particular goal. It's time boxed and it's directed. Okay, so that takes care of action. Okay, now we're going to go to renew. Renew is obviously the next letter in Spark, and what that's about is we only have in our brains, in our willpower, in our soul, so much discipline. We just don't have an infinite gas tank to continue on not only dealing with whatever our regular days are throwing at us, but when we get home, it's very, very difficult to just not flip on that television or hop on the internet or to throw up that video game and not even worry about, achieving that next great thing. Now, I totally support that. That's where the Spark process differs from other things that you might have heard of. It's not, don't touch the Xbox, don't touch your PlayStation 4. Get yourself out of that. You're working all the time 24/7. That is just not sustainable. It's not supported by brain science. It's not supported by organizational development things that I have been exposed to. It's not supported by my own experience. So we need, in any decent process, a way to renew yourself. And that's what the R is about there, the renewal and review of this Spark. We've done 2 weeks of work. Maybe you'll do a renewal part in the middle of those 2 weeks. You'll say, hold on, we got to adjust the second week of this particular Spark. Say you're losing weight, or say that's your overall goal is to lose weight, your overall situation. You have gym visits. And say you tried to visit the gym 7 days this week, and guess what? You didn't get there. Big surprise. Okay, we're going to recalibrate for the next half of this Spark, and we're going to just try to visit that we're just going to do 3 weeks. 3 visits. We're just going to do 3 visits, and we'll see if that happens. And then when we recalibrate, say, you know what, we achieved all 3 visits. Okay, now we're going to celebrate. We're going to go out and we're going to see a movie. Maybe we'll hold it on the popcorn, but we're going to see that movie. You know what I'm saying? This is the renewal step that you're going to take that's going to keep these Sparks going all year long. Because these are long-term things, especially if you have a day job that is going to take you away from the Spark. Or if you have demanding outside events that are going to impact your ability to maybe write that next novel. Okay? The world needs your novel. We need to get this going. Okay, let's get renewal. And then review, of course, is, you're looking at the Sparks, you're looking at the goal. Do I really want to lose weight right now? Or do I want to work on my relationship with my wife or my daughter or my son? Do I want to, just go traveling right now? Maybe this isn't a good time for a Spark. So review is very important too. Now let's move on to the final, collection and coaching. Okay, we're in collection and coaching. So the collection and coaching is very important. In any endeavor, you got to count something, right? I think we all get the idea that goals need to be kind of, they need to be chopped up into little crunchy pieces. Some folks call them SMART goals, and other folks will call them tasks, and they'll say, you do accomplish a couple of tasks, and we want to make sure we count how many tasks we do. This is a little different. The Spark process talks about counting just 1 or 2 things per this 2-week period. Okay, so we're going to time box how many times we go to the gym. We're going to take 2 weeks. We're going to try to go to the gym 6 times, 3 times a week. Okay, that's what we're going to count. Maybe we don't count pounds, because counting pounds, a lot of stuff affects weight. Weight loss in particular is a long-term process. It's a process that's affected by what you eat, by how many times you work out, or how many times you jog. It's a terrible idea to weigh yourself every day. Most of the weight loss experts agree with that. So count something that's achievable, something that you could do. Okay, book writing is another great example. Like, let's say if you want to write that novel, you're going to write 1,000 words every day. So there should be, in the action steps, write 1,000 words, write 1,000 words, write 1,000 words, and you're writing those, and you're moving those over. You're checking them off every time. Now you come into, that's what we're collecting, right? Now we come to collecting. We say, okay, we out of the 14,000 words we tried to write, because we tried to write 1,000 every day, we only got to 10,000, because that's a lot of writing. So we're going to, we did our review step. We're going to recalibrate maybe in the middle of the spark, but at the very end we're going to coach. How much is right about writing? How many words is it normal to write? If you're in NaNoWriMo, you might have to be writing that much, but maybe you can't keep up with that. Maybe there's something we've done wrong with how we've configured our writing. Maybe we get too many interruptions, right? The point is we're going to count something. And then finally, coaching. Coaching's can be critically important. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about a coach where you have to hire a life coach, although the Spark process is going to have that in it. We are talking it could be anything. It could be a book, it could be a sister, it could be a brother, it could be a mom, a dad. It doesn't really matter. What the idea behind the coaching step is, we're getting some knowledgeable input on this Spark that is going to help us along. It's going to help us do another Spark, okay? Let's take, for example, the weight loss topic. Maybe we've done 2 weeks, we're sore, we're not seeing any results. Maybe you do need that trainer, that real coach, that human coach, or maybe I need to go out and buy that book and see how I'm gonna, I'm doing the weightlifting wrong. If you're writing, maybe you need, how do I do plot? You're getting some input, you're getting some kind of feedback from the world. The world, it can give you some advice here, and the world wants you to succeed. We in the Lifesparc domain, we consider the world on your side, and to reach out and grab some of that. There's so many free items these days. Go to YouTube, of course, and go to TED and all these wonderful resources. We in the ebook we'll have a lot on this. We'll have some of the resources that we go to, the coaching resources that exist today, and then some that will exist tomorrow from the Lifesparc community. The counting is important because that's how you know you're succeeding. At the end of this whole thing, at the end of the whole Lifesparc process, you will have 2 weeks of solid work. Now, let's say you failed a lot of it. Well, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity to get that coaching and say, why am I failing in this thing that I said 2 weeks ago was so important? Maybe you accomplished everything. Maybe this isn't enough. You're not challenging yourself enough. Maybe you can do more than one Spark at a time. For example, I'm doing the Spark for the Lifesparc.com process. I'm also writing a book, and I'm doing some other things. I have 2 or 3 of these going at any one time, and you got to keep them organized, okay? So we'll talk about in the ebook and on the blog, we'll talk about how to keep your Sparks aligned, how to make sure they don't violate each other, and then some of the exciting feedback on how one Spark might help another. And we'll talk about that later. For now, I'm going to close this video, and I thank you for tuning in again. My name is Joe Fecarata, and this is the Lifesparc process.